Welcome back. With so many in need, you may feel overwhelmed on trying to decide how you can help. Over the years, I've spoken with hundreds of people across the country on Peace Farm Radio, my radio show. And what I've found is that it all starts with passion to make a change. Now, Project Change is an organization that can help you decide how and where to begin your journey of giving.
Music and learning are now a daily part of the lives of these children, enjoying their new school in a village in Uganda in Central Africa. The villagers actually helped build the school, also called Classrooms, one brick at a time. Of course, along with its funder, Project Change. That's a Florida-based grassroots, not-for-profit organization. It's dedicated to women and children who are victims of war and physical and sexual abuse.
In America, and I would say the Western world, we live with the idea that education is a right. But in Africa and areas that we work, education is a privilege. And it really is for those who can afford it and are born into wealth.
Project Change builds schools for elementary children, trade schools for women, and orphanages, which are decidedly called homes.
Oftentimes we refer to, our children as orphans living in an orphanage, and we want our kids to be proud of where they live. So what we've decided to do is take the word orphanage out of the facilities that we build. So it's no longer Smile Africa Orphanage, but it's Smile Africa Children's Home. They are no longer orphans, they are part of a program and they're part of our family. And, they shouldn't feel like they are alone in this world.
And thanks to Project Change, many of them are not alone.
During the day, this building schools 200 children. At night, it houses 52 children.
When you go to these villages and you speak to the parents and you see that they have absolutely nothing, and when I say nothing, there is nothing, but they beg you to teach their children because they know education is the key. It will, in fact, unlock a future for them.
So why poor villages of Africa to launch Project Change? The idea was planted in Cheryl's heart as a troubled young girl in the 80s, growing up in apartheid-era South Africa.
I look back and I think to myself, I can't believe I'm alive. So when I was 6, my mom was married to a very abusive guy.
Her stepfather was a police officer, and Cheryl, the oldest of 7 children, says when things turned rough within the home, she would grab her siblings and take off.
I would put my siblings in the stroller and we would run and literally run from one house to the next house. And I would knock on the door and just be crying, hysterical, and people wouldn't open the door because they were fearful of this guy. The people that helped us were the domestic workers that lived in the back of the yards. Those were the black people that were working for different families. They would hide us in their little shack, and you could hear him coming down the street screaming, looking for us.
Cheryl says those workers saved her and her siblings' lives.
And they said, I'm gonna help, I'm gonna make a difference, and not thinking or weighing the cost and the fear, and just knowing that this is what they need to do at that very moment in time.
Their bravery and generosity stuck with Cheryl. Eventually, she and her siblings ended up living for several years in an orphanage and group home for white children only.
It was a very conflicting time to walk out of the orphanage and you would see children living on the street and they were black. And I would stop and I would talk to them and I would bring them food, and I always found it so tormenting that how is it that just because of a pigment color that I have a better life than what they do.
Years later, Cheryl, now an attorney in the U.S., launched Project Change.
The fairly new organization raised nearly $185,000 in its first year.
Ann Reinstein, vice president of the organization and a private tax accountant, usually travels to Africa with Cheryl, witnessing the needs firsthand.
It's very important to see this stuff face to face and be there to understand what it is that we're doing. Before, everything was over the internet, social media, pictures, videos, conversations, but it's a lot different when you're actually there and you get to see this stuff firsthand and the children that you're helping. The truth of the matter is, when you get there, the needs are endless. Every place you turn, there's something else that's needed, an extra bed, an extra mattress, certainly things that we did not even know that were needed because they don't consider it a priority.
There are many ways one can help. For example, you can have a desk built in your honor, or donate books, paper or pencils, donate a bed or two, linen, clothing, or perhaps you want to build a playground. And of course, financial resources are always welcomed. The wish list is seemingly endless.
We have different projects because not every project is something that everyone is interested in.
Finding your place in the charitable world and starting your own journey of giving may seem overwhelming, but Cheryl says it's simple. Know your passions and decide where you can best fit in.
My philosophy is there's something for everyone. You know, one shoe doesn't fit everyone, which means that they may not have the time to invest the time, but they have the financial resources. Other people don't have the financial resources, but they can do the advocating.
The ultimate goal for all projects is self-sustainability.
We have to purchase land. We have to build farms. Right now we have a chicken farm with 500 chickens. We have our pig farm with 7 pigs. But the chickens provide 2 sources of help to the school. One is nutrition, and the other is income through the selling of the eggs that are produced by these chickens. And we will soon have a vegetable farm as well. So that will be another source of nutrition and income for the schools.
The children simply draw you in.
You realize that if there's only one person that will believe in them, just one person that will say, I see in you something so special, they hold on to that. You know, they hold on to that hope and they believe it. You don't need a lot of people, you need one person. And the truth is, we can all be one person to one person.
Thank you so much, Project Change, for supporting us.
God bless you so much, Project Change. Thank you, Project Change, for saving our lives.
And to learn more about the organization and starting your journey of giving, visit projectchange.org or our website, livelifeforward.com.